You know for a fact that I'm always gonna be here for you no matter what. Just want things to get better.
It's like that glass being broken and now having to put all those pieces back together.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. We're here talking to you about episode 1 of season 9, Love and Hip Hop, baby. Bang bang, share, like, subscribe. You already know what time it is. We're going to give you the review. Bang bang. I want to go straight into it. Let's talk about Joe Budden and Cyn.
Daddy!
Things have changed for me a lot over the years.
Listen, you know what? I love the dynamics of Joe Budden and Cyn. One, because they're of different ages, which shows straight away their mentality change, their different mentalities. Joe Budden, as clearly says himself, I'm like the grandpa.
She's young, passionate, beautiful, bubbly, and y'all know me. I'm a grumpy old man.
He's been a bit like that since even Tahiri times, but I think he's matured a lot since then times. I think he's learned quite a lot of lessons from the Tahiri days, because there was a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of energy, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. There was just a lot of motion going on in that relationship. And if you remember as well, he got rejected.
Will you marry me?
And I don't trust you right now.
That's a no.
So there was a lot that was happening there, and I feel like his mentality has shifted when he started dating Cyn. I never saw the beginning of their relationship, but just hearing him speak, and the way he even deals with Cyn.
Let me finish what I'm saying.
Before I go and pop myself, I should sit here and listen to what you have to say, right?
Like when you watch the way they had an argument in the car, and he came out the car, and then she went inside to walk away. He just calmly paused and said, alright, cool, then started walking away. He didn't make a big fuss of it, and I can see that he's become very he's become very malleable, he's become very calm. Like he's not stressing about things now. Like it's like almost like I've seen it and done it before, so I'm not gonna stress about this kind of thing.
Things have changed for me a lot over the years. My career, my maturity, my personal life.
And while that's a good thing, because it means your relationship can really flourish. It's also it can be a negative thing, because the person you're dealing with is actually quite young, and so they will not understand your level of understanding. And although experience is good in this area, because there's such a huge gap between you and Cyn in terms of age, your mentality is completely different. He says it himself, they're quite two different people.
We're both very different people.
And their main issue at the moment is the communication issue they're having at the moment is on the platform of sex. Let me tell you something. Sex is not be all and end all, but sex is very important to a relationship. Those of you who are Christians like myself, obviously having sex inside of marriage is good, not outside. But cool. So you know, sex is very important to the relationship, and you know, because we have sex by the body, and the body is you. When somebody rejects sex from you, it's actually a rejection of you.
Not having sex with me does not make me feel sexy, and I want to feel sexy again. I want to feel like a woman again. Like I'm trying to get back to me and back to us, and you're not doing that. You're not trying to help.
Bear in mind that sex requires us to be naked and vulnerable. So when I'm naked, when I'm offering sex, I'm actually offering my vulnerability to you, because it's about two becoming one. It's about the intimacy. So when I offer sex to you, the way that Cyn was trying to offer sex to Joe, you can see that when he rejected her in the car, she was pissed.
Wonderful.
What is it? Am I what? You don't like this? Like what? What is it? I'll get out right here and ask, hey, who wants to? And everybody will be like, me.
You're a parent.
She will, the driver, everybody.
Now, she was pissed because she said it quite clearly. It's a rejection of her. It's a rejection. It feels like he doesn't desire her anymore. Feels like he doesn't want her. Feels like he's not attracted to her anymore. Why? Because all these things are inside of her head, and rightly so. I understand. You just had a child. Okay, and after having a child, your weight actually fluctuates, you change, the body changes, and so therefore you're looking for assurance. The sex is part of that assurance. Deep it that before they had a child, they were having sex 4 or 5 times a day.
Busy like 4, 5, 6 times a day. Now I'm lucky if I even get a little tongue.
To go from that to like non-existent, then after the common denominator is the child, it looks as if, oh, once I had a child, you no longer desire me. Plus she's looking a bit more chunky than I remember the last time I saw her first, so maybe that also plays into her mind too, that she's a little bit bigger, and it's like, you know, you should be desiring me, but you're not desiring me. It makes me feel ugly, it makes me feel unwanted, you know. And she even says to herself, look, I know this, if I said this to many guys, they would want to have sex with me. And she's absolutely right, they would. But unfortunately, Joe's on a different mindset, and I believe that once he had a child, he went into father mode and forgot that he's husband mode. I don't know if they're married or not, but he forgot to be in husband mode, but went into father mode. And so when he's talking to her about the pool at the beginning, he even goes and gets a child. Why? I feel like he's avoiding sex. I wonder if it's because he can't keep up, or if he's getting older, the body's now responding, telling him you can't do what you used to do. I don't know, but all I know is that he brought the child out from the room, and she even mentioned it. Why would you bring the child out from the room?
Daddy's home.
I love family time, but that's all Joe wants to do, and it's killing me.
And the reason why is because he's blocking the sex path. He doesn't want to go there at the moment. Yeah? So for a man to reject sex like that, there's a problem. Either he cannot get it up, and he's embarrassed to get into this issue, doesn't want to get into it, because if he does, he's got to address it. Or 2, he can't keep up. Or 3, he macking somebody else. And I think the third one is not plausible. I think it's the first 2. You know, I think it's number 2 even, that he can't keep up anymore. You know, and I feel like his mindset switched as well with the child, and he's gone into super father mode. Like, if you see him with the child, fam, it's like that's all he's ever wanted.
We have a 5-month-old baby. So yeah, we're not getting it on, and you know what I mean? Like we used to, but that's okay. Honestly, she's just being a little immature about the situation.
And everybody will be like, me.
You're a parent. You're a parent. You're a parent.
She will.
Do you get me? Like, that's all like he's all ever wanted. And so now he's like putting all his attention on the child. And look, when a woman obviously has a child, you know, she's carrying this child for 9 months. All the attention of the man seems to be obviously taking care of her, but it also seems to be on the baby. And when the child is born, again, his attention is drawn to the child. The child's only 5 months old, which means he spent a considerable amount of time putting his energy into that child. And then when he's not the child, then he's saying his work. My work is 25/8. Let me tell you something. If your work is 25/8, you can still find time to have sex. Let's just be real. Like, if I desire you, I'm gonna find 10 minutes to do it, bruv. I'm gonna find 15 minutes. I'm gonna find some time. We can knock it off somewhere, cuz. So there is no excuse. Not only that, if you say your work is 25/8, but then you get into a car and then your girlfriend says to you, listen, I've booked a hotel. Let's go to the hotel. There's a childminder for the kid. No need to worry about it. Let's go to the hotel. Let's do a little madness. And you say no. It's got nothing to do with your job no more. It's got nothing to do with your timing. It's all to do with you. So we need to find out what's going on with Joe Budden and what's going up here. Because something's gone up here that's not making him desire Cyn in that particular way anymore. But it's interesting because obviously they're of 2 different ages, and I think her libido, he mentioned it, her libido is high. It's like, you know, she wants sex a lot. Like, he's not on that level no more. But it's interesting how he deals with her, like I said, because sometimes I feel like I don't want to say like a child, but he's dealing with her from a place of experience. He doesn't try to, you know, have those mad arguments like he used to have with Tahiri. He just really chill, and I guess that's probably even more frustrating for Cyn, because she's much younger, and maybe that's, you know, sometimes to have that argument, it's like the break up to make up kind of thing, the break up to make up kind of sex. She's not even getting that, cuz she can't even get that, because Joe Budden ain't even arguing about that right now. So for me, I understand where Cyn's coming from, and I feel like the rejection of sex is a rejection of her.
I want to know how he thinks it makes me feel to practically have to beg my man for some sex. I'm already having a hard time adjusting to my new body after giving birth, and now he's making me feel worse.
One thing I would say, I'll put this note out, is that Kim Bella giving that advice about you going and get his dick and whipping it out is absolutely ludicrous. If it was the other way around and a man had said, listen, go and pull down your wife's trousers and start doing stuff to her, this would be called rape. Like, you can't do that. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Take it out yourself.
I was not expecting you to say that.
That's aggressive. I like that.
Damn.
They love that. Yeah, what he gonna say? No?
Girl.
Regardless if it's a man, but you see how the rules are different when it's men and females, but you just can't do that. So in this current climate, I just wanted to point that out. Like, ladies, listen, if your man is not trying to have sex, doesn't mean you can't put moves on him. Listen, put moves on him. You know what I'm saying? Cyn tried, though. I'm not gonna lie to you. She wore a very sexy, revealing amount of clothing in the car. You know, she even had his head in her breast, and still, my man was not connecting. Do you know what I'm saying? He was fearful of something. Do you get what I'm saying? So there's a reason why he's like that. We need to get down to the bottom of the root cause of why he's like that. Cool. But like I said, this is called Boys to Men because like I've seen the maturity change in Joe Budden. One thing I would mention as well is that father figure came through even with Safari. I like the way he addressed him about the issue about you singing, you know, down in the hood.
Country. Normally when I see it, the audience is predominantly what?
Women.
Okay, so you do know your audience.
Yeah.
So what the you doing on Dykeman performing for a bunch of want to see a basketball game and you're not being paid? You just move wrong. Don't do this no more, man.
He's trying to tell him, listen, bro, it's not going to go down well. And when he came back, he told him, the way he addressed him was like a father to a son. Like, I told you this was going to happen, boom, boom, and you need to stick in your lane, and gave him some good advice. One thing I would say, though, as well, is that Mano, I think his name is Mano, the guy that his girlfriend got shot in the club, mentioned about, obviously, if you're rapping about certain lyrics, then, you know, how you crying on an interview. And I was just deep in things. Are we saying that in the hood you don't cry? Are we saying in the hood that, you know, if you get robbed, it can't be emotional? I'm not saying either or, I'm just saying, but for me, what came to mind was this: we have this perception of masculinity that if one cries, that's it, you're weak. But crying doesn't always mean that. Crying could be just a way that you're able to shed certain feelings, and that's the way that it escapes out of you. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak. And so again, it's perpetuating the idea of masculinity being hard, stern, tough. No one ever breaks you. But listen, let me tell you something. You do that and mental illness collects you, bruv. You do that in this current age, you go crazy. You do that now, and actually what happens is you mistreat the person who brings feminine energy. You know what I'm saying? When that person could be a great ally and asset to you, whether I'm talking about your wife, whether I'm talking about your sisters, whether I'm talking about your mum, whether I'm talking about even a male who's got a bit more feminine energy, you don't know who could be coming to your life to elevate you. But because you have a masculine idea, toxic masculinity idea that men can't cry, bruh, I'm not going to say that. I have to also just say that as well. Bro, you can't be rapping about knives and stuff and guns and stuff like that and then cry when your chain got robbed.
On the radio station crying.
I just got robbed. At gunpoint.
If you're a civilian, be a civilian. If you on the side with the G's, then be that. But whatever you is, you gotta pick a lane, pick a jacket that you want to wear, and be who you want to be.
Jules and Kimbella. Kimbella laughed, kind of smirked when the counselor said to Jules, like, what about if you relapse? And she smirked and laughed. And the reason why
I gotta go through the whole withdrawal thing, and I don't ever want to go through that again.
Why are you shaking your head, Kim?
Because I think she's at her teller's end. She's almost at the end. It's like, I've heard it all before from you, Jules. You said this before. And she's absolutely right. I mean, she's been there for 9 years. And then she proceeds to say, obviously, you know, they're not even married. And I think he's now trying to propose. I think she's now engaged now. He proposed. But only because he's going to prison. Not because he wants to marry her, but because he's going to prison, bro. And for me, this is what happens when you ride or die. You die. Anybody who rides or die always dies. You're trying to ride or die for who? You will die. Because at the end of the day, it's ride or die. And so what I realize is that why are you riding or dying for somebody who's not riding or dying for you? It's a common mistake that a lot of people make, and I don't understand why. Females make that mistake a lot of times. They ride or die for a male who's not going to ride or die, who's not riding or dying for them. And I believe it comes from a place of maybe witnessing toxic relationship and assuming that's the normality, or maybe being in a home of toxic relationship and assuming that's normal, or being in past relationships and seeing toxic relationships and thinking that's normal. It's not normal.
If it's not infidelity, it's the drug. If it's not the drugs, it's disrespect. If it's not disrespect, it's all kinds of other stuff.
For him to commit infidelity, for him to be taking drugs, for him to be disrespecting you, which you listed, and then you still want to be there, like, you're not putting up a good role model for your children. Now, she may see this and cuss me and say, you don't know anything about a relationship, but you listed it. Deep it. You listed it. I can only go on the information you give me. You get what I'm saying? Which is why it's even more important that when we give information to friends and family, we give a balanced review. Because if you give only bad, I'm only going to give you a review of the bad you've given me. Whatever you sow into me, you're gonna reap out of me. So for me, it was interesting. Well, one thing I'll say is this: when you apologize, it does not stop people. It does not mean the person will forget. When you apologize, it doesn't mean you'll be reconciled. When you apologize, it doesn't stop the consequences. And when you apologize, it does not necessarily build up trust.
It had nothing to do with you, so I don't want you to put that burden on yourself at all. So I am truly sorry for everything
I hope you forget.
Again. So just deep it. Consequences are not eradicated. You can't. People don't forget. Forgiveness is not given all the time, and reconciliation and trust is not always hand in hand when someone apologizes. So just because Jules apologized, notice that he didn't even apologize for anything specific. She mentioned certain things, infidelity, drugs, but you apologize for you just apologize randomly, generically. And for me, that shows that obviously you haven't really thought deep. You're just saying sorry to get over this point. Like, let's get over this point, and let me say sorry, let's get over this point. I don't feel like it's something you thought about deeply, sat there and gone, listen, look, right, I've done this, that to the girl, you know. Nah, my bad, listen, I've done this, that, I'm so sorry. Do you know what I'm saying? But then again, they've had other counselling sessions, we haven't seen that, so maybe he has. But the way she brought it out again lets me know that you need to address that again. You see, when she said it in a way that, listen, address those issues. We haven't addressed those issues. Do you get what I'm saying? And addiction is something that obviously he was going through, and you know, boys becoming men means taking on responsibility.
And I was prescribed Percocets from the doctor. I kind of started abusing that.
Are there any fears of relapse?
And understanding that the consequences of action are there. I don't got. So for me, with Jules was mentioning the fact that obviously, you know, he didn't know that he brought a gun to the airport. Now, how can you not know you had a gun in your bag unless the lien was on you, which means it's still irresponsible. Your irresponsible behavior is causing a different ripple effects of consequences. Certain actions cause little ripples. Certain actions cause huge ripples. So depending on what you do, you can see the consequence of your actions, the reaping of what you sowed. And so for me, Jules, you know, at a young age, sowed badly and has reaped badly, because now we've got a woman who Kimbella is, who's battered, bruised, and almost broken, bro. Like, and I think you saw it when they were talking about how long it's gonna go away for. She was mentioning the fact that she's already had the kids for how long and been without him, and now she could potentially be without him for about 18 to 5 years, depending.
From 18 to 24 months. If we go to trial, it would be more like 5 years.
I could not imagine myself being away from Joel for 5 years, but my children, to see their faces every day.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. Women, why are we riding or dying for somebody who's not riding or dying for you? Why? Alexa Sky and Fetty Wap. What annoyed me is the way that Fetty Wap came in the room.
Lex, somebody wanted to congratulate you on the signing.
What's up? Hello, Snoop. Good. What's good? Ain't nothing, baby. What up?
I'm about to snap.
If you've not seen your baby mother, the mother of your kids for 5 months, and you come in a room smirking, knowing she's going to be there, what are you hoping to prove? Again, this is all these games and tactics and manipulations that people do, where they don't realize they're hurting people, and they assume it's that it's still fun, it's still a game, you won't die, but the person is dying inside emotionally. But because we never see the physical effects sometimes of our actions, we assume everything's okay. You know, definitely, you know that's your kid because you was with her in the hospital for when she was actually, you know, early.
You remember what happened? Do you remember you had to carry me out the car? Was in a surgery for how many hours? Lost how much blood? Almost died having her.
You knew that was yours. Not only that, she's asked you to take a DNA test. What are you waiting for? Not only that, you said later on that you were waiting for her to message you, which means you know that she was meant to message. You know that you know this is yours. Like, you can't pretend it's not yours. And it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And I just think to myself sometimes, you know, men get away with too much murder, and then other men don't check them. So Treyway's not going to check Fetty Wap. Who's going to check Fetty Wap? And if his boy's going to check him and say, listen, bro, look, you're going to be a father to a kid. Listen, fix up. Nope, there's nobody there to do that. So men are getting away scot-free and scot-clean, but yet this woman's having to look after your child, and create a living for herself as well at the same time. It's just a problem because you are forcing her into that narrative. There's no other way for her to turn, whereas you get away scot-free. It's just mad. Do you get what I'm saying? It's absolutely madness. And so I didn't expect her to be professional when, you know, there's so many different things you haven't said to the person who's meant to have loved you, taken care of you, and helped you look after this child. There's so many things that are on your mind. You're right. It's unresolved. It's unresolved, and I understand. And anybody who doesn't understand, bro, like, I fear for you, because you're a madman. Because that's ridiculous. 5 months not speaking. Nah. Can't run. I hope you like the review. Hope you stay blessed. Any like, share, subscribe, and leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. I appreciate you. Stay blessed.